All right, buyer consultation. So I think you guys probably have a good gist of how it goes. You have been in one with me, and so have you. So I actually created this before that one buyer came in. Now I'm going to incorporate this into my buyer packet consultation. I only printed one because obviously you guys would want to customize your own, and I can actually send you the Canva link and you can replace it with your information.
That's nice.
But what I do, and I haven't done it yet because the last order I did had my old brokerage and old team. But what's nice is I buy these in bulk on Canva. For $50, I think you get 10.
Oh, that's not bad.
And that's what I give them to the buyers. Now, when I started real estate, there really was no buyer consultation, right? The buyer consultation was at the first showing. But nowadays, it's no, you need that buyer broker agreement signed. Got to do all that, which honestly, I think it's better because it saves a lot of us as agents time.
Yeah.
I wasted a lot of time just opening up a door for people that just didn't even want to get pre-qualified, or they did, and then we would look at 10 houses and they never could get qualified.
Wow.
So when you're doing buyer consultations, hopefully what's nice is you guys are working out with buyers that are inbound leads, right? So you didn't prospect them, they kind of prospect to you guys, right? So yours was from your mom, referral.
Yeah.
Yours was from training, which is your SOI, which is nice, right? Now there's times where, let's say we get Zillow out, back on the team, that's going to be harder to get a buyer consultation, is convincing a stranger to come in and do this, where you guys have already kind of built some sort of a relationship with this lead. Yeah. Which is nice. So the first thing you're going to want to do, and you can do it over the phone, but it's not as exciting, I always just say, hey, when is a good time for you to come into the office? And if they live far away, you can meet them at a Starbucks, but what I like about the office is you can connect that TV screen, and once you're kind of done with the buyer consultation, setting them up on the auto search and showing them what currently is available
on the market. Yeah.
It gets them, that's what gets them excited. This part doesn't. This part is more important for us because you want to know what's best for them. One of my favorite things that I learned from watching all these YouTube videos is the minute you lose a client is the minute you start talking about yourself. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about the agent. It's about them, right? It's their money, whether you're a buyer or seller. So it's all about the value of showing them that their needs and wants are covered and fully aware. Okay. All right. So what's the number one most important step of doing a buyer consultation? What do you think?
I feel connecting.
Okay, good. I thought you guys were going to say something else. So, connecting, but also...
Well, I was going to say setting up the actual appointment.
Okay, yep, that's exactly the correct answer. Setting the appointment. It's when you hear the guys talking about the off-market leads, build the rapport, but truly... Strangers don't want to talk to us over the phone, right?
Exactly.
We can't get that true value building of that relationship unless it's in person. There's times over the phone, but it's setting the appointment / consultation. All right. And then, so you said
connecting with them. That's what I do, I guess.
Building value, asking them questions.
Yeah.
We don't gotta explain to them. My team does this, and I'm taught this, and da da da.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's building the rapport. I don't know if I'm spelling that right, but
and I noticed making them feel comfortable / if you're meeting at a Starbucks or Panera, offering them coffee or if they want something.
Yep, and always buy the coffee.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be a crazy lunch. But I will say, if you got a loan officer that you refer business to, invite the loan officer too. That shows a lot of quality, and the loan officer always picks up the tab.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Yeah, always. If a loan officer or title company ever asks you to lunch, say yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not, so that's our free lunch. So yeah, building a rapport and then questions. So the first question that I like to start with is obviously current situation, right? Because the current situation leads to what? the why.
Like
The why. Why do they want to buy? That is, this is probably the biggest thing. Why do you want to sell? Why you want to buy? The minute you know that, you're gonna be able to, because when consumers, whether a buyer or seller, what happens is there's so many emotions involved and they lose sight of the why, and our job is to stay in control of the wheel and refocus them on it's worth it because we're getting this accomplished. We're fixing the why.
Yeah.
I've got a baby on the way. I got a new job. I've got, or I'm downsizing. I'm an empty nester. What's the big why? Clearly, like, if they set the time for the appointment, their current situation is making them uncomfortable. In a sense, it's too big of a house, it's too small, or they don't like the location. So this is like something that always I like to keep in the back of my mind when people are, like right now, Cole and I have a buyer. She's getting a little frustrated, and I'm trying to keep it positive and light, and refocus it back to her why. And her why is because she's got a son and she's got dogs, and she wants to be a homeowner. She's sick of living the renting life. Yeah.
And another thing that I like to tell them, like, obviously, like, you always want to focus it back to the why, but I always like to tell them, like, if you feel any type of, like, stress or, you feel like that, I tell them just put that on me because that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Scream and cry. I'm not just a realtor, I'm a therapist. I'm a drinking buddy. I'm a cleaner. We're more than that. So the current situation and asking the why. So a lot of people, like, and where I see a default is, which I'm really happy that none of you guys said this, but what do agents typically do even before these 3 steps?
Oh, they try to be like, let me.
Pre-approval.
Yeah.
They ask about the pre-approval. Have you signed anything with it's almost like the agents are not even caring about their situation. They're just more concerned, like, are you pre-approved and did you sign an agreement with someone else?
Yeah.
Because that things don't matter, because let's say they're not pre-approved. Okay, well, once we gain their trust, then we're going to connect them with a loan officer.
Exactly.
And if they did sign a buyer broker agreement, that's okay. We haven't given them any real estate advice or shown them houses. We can easily get that canceled. And they wouldn't, if they were happy with their agent, they wouldn't be sitting in this consultation with us. But that's a whole other thing we can get into. So the why, and that's what this questionnaire is going to really focus in on. So what I recommend on doing is kind of like, if you guys have like your buyer packet, is incorporating this with it, but kind of not a plastic version, a paper version, because you want them to, like, either they write down the notes or you're talking to, like, you saw me with that one woman. I let her talk because she was so frustrated because she wanted to buy a house. So I was kind of just using it as not a cheat sheet, but something to kind of rely on. And I was taking notes.
Yeah.
But sometimes people like filling this out, which is, full names, contact, are you currently renting or do you own a home, right? I love to know that too, because that opens up another whole can of worms. That's either going to be, okay, so do you plan on selling your home? Do you plan on making it a rental? Is the loan contingent? But I'm not verbally saying this out loud. I'm thinking about it, and we'll get to that at the end. At least I know in the back of my mind, okay, they're renting, and my mind's going, when's their lease up? Can they go month to month if I can't find them a house, or they own, is going to be like I don't even get into do you plan on selling your home to buy another one, because that's going to really be up to the loan officer. Because if the loan officer can qualify them without selling their home, then that's up to the client. Now, if it is, but like I said, some people want to keep their home. Of course they do, and buy another one. But if the loan can't go through without it, but we're not here to determine that.
Yeah.
The bank is.
We don't want to misinform them.
Exactly. So timeline is the most crucial thing. In fact, this is the one that I am being very verbal about during the buyer consultation. So this current housing situation. These are just thoughts in my head, but I'm not verbally expressing it. The timeline is what I'm really engaging with them on, because that is so important to know. People just automatically assume that you can close in a house in
a week
or two.
Yeah.
And if their lease is up in 2 months, that only gives me a month of shopping.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is fine, doable, but I don't want to waste any time, because the minute we go shopping, the minute is when we need that pre-approval letter. We need to know like everything. So I always tell my clients, I like having 2 months of shopping, and you know, that third month, hopefully we're under contract and 30 to 45 days will be closed. But that doesn't mean I can't do it sooner. And that doesn't mean that we have to do it within 3 months. But at least I know that, you know, if you are renting and you don't want to go month to month, then I know what we can do.
Yeah, so like for instance, some of the lead I was talking to, his name's James, and he said, you know, he's looking to buy in October, but he said his lease is up in October. So if his lease is up in October, you'd want to start shopping around August?
Yeah, so
August, September, yeah.
August, September, August, September, October. No, I would start getting him pre-approved like around mid-July.
Yeah, because he said he said yeah, like I want to get pre-approved at the end of March. I'm like, well, no, wait until it's closer, because that way you have a newer pre-approval letters is what I kind of try to explain.
Does he only want to buy like towards the ending of the year, or is he open to like, let's just say like you have the consultation, you sit down, he can get pre-approved, and then like his lease is up in like what, October?
Yeah, or can he get out of his lease early?
Yeah.
I guess we'll ask.
That's like part of the questions too.
Yeah.
And I asked that too. I'm like, okay, so we have, because sometimes people come to you like in a year in advance. I'm like, well, I'm not saying you have to, but do you, like, if I found you your dream home, which is non-existent, by the way, I never say the word dream home, but if I found you a house that fits all your needs, the right price point, would you want to and willing to ask if you can get out of your lease early? I would say like 80 to 90% of the time they can't, right? It's a lease breakage, you know. But I've had a couple clients where they're like, yeah, I talked to the landlord, and they're fine with that. It's more like the apartments that kind of give like
problems.
Yeah. But I'd ask, you know, sometimes they're renting from a family member, and the family member, you know what I mean? You never know who they're renting from. I always ask, can you get out of the lease early? But let's just say he can't, then I would say you're going to want to get him pre-approved in July. And honestly, you could do the first week of July, because sometimes people move slow on their feet. But if it's the pre-approval, you get it in July, that gives you August, September. But that's why you don't want to do it in August, because 30 days to close, you know. Also, and this is kind of like a slopey area, I typically don't go into this unless I feel like the buyer's comfortable with me, but also like what's their finance situation as far as cash goes. Because if I can't get an idea of that, then the loan officer can. And what if they need time to save? Like, where I always ask, you know, how much money, how much money do you have? I never ask that. How much money are you willing to spend that you currently have on a home? Because if they're like $5,000, well then yeah, we gotta like have them talk to a loan officer sooner, because a loan officer is gonna help them do like a homework assignment to start planning on saving, because they're gonna need more than that. I would even say like with a VA loan, and that's the biggest hiccups that Cole and I are having. It's not that it's impossible, but given a certain location, you know, buyers, you eventually, you do need some cash to buy.
Yeah.
So like if your buddy's like, well, you know, I only got like a couple grand to spend on a house, I would honestly go ahead and get him set up with a loan officer and say, hey, we need to get like a plan of action in hand, so he can start saving, and how much money does he need to save? And that's not our job to determine. It really is up to the loan officer. And then financial information. Yep. So have you chosen a lender for your financing? What's the number one? At least for me, that I always hear. You know, I was just gonna go to Navy Federal. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's great. I said, well, and that's when I kind of go into, well, I just kind of want to warn you, you know, I've got Navy Federal. They're great for car loans. They're great for credit cards. But, you know, unfortunately, based on my experience and my buyers, they just kind of dropped the ball last minute at closing, and it's true. And what they can also do, and I tell people this, Google Navy Federal mortgage reviews. You want a local loan officer. I'm not here to tell you who to choose, but what we can do is add Navy Federal and another lender on the contract. You can use mine, you can use your family friends, I just highly encourage you to shop around with different lenders.
I always tell them like the advantage of working with a local lender versus working like with someone like Navy Federal or like stuff like that. They're 9 to 5 versus a local lender. If you have to call them at 10 o'clock at night and we're the day before closing, they're gonna answer the phone.
And that's exactly what I say. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Let's go with Navy Federal, but can you ask that loan officer for their cell phone number, because the chances of us finding a house that you really want on a Saturday, are they going to pick up at 4 p.m. on a Saturday when I'm writing up this offer?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Are they going to answer on Sunday, So, yeah, that's 1,000%. And not only that, even I feel like when I do reach out on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when they're in the office, when do I hear back from Navy Federal? Like 2 days later.
Literally. Like with one of my buyers, it was a military buyer. He was working with Chase Bank, and literally the loan officer disappeared on him.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like on him. I was like, look, we have to get whoever we got to get from that bank. Like he had to get the bank manager involved.
Yep.
And I was trying to switch him with the local lender, but thank God the bank manager came through and got everything squared away.
Yeah. Well, and that's what we had to do on one of your listings, was reach out to the supervisor on the, Yep. Home preferences. So, to be honest, and I would mark this up, I think that this should be changed out to the home preferences. You know why? Because again, I don't want to get into finances quite yet. So truly, I would move this back to after the timeline.
So step 1, step 2, step 3.
And then step 4 is home preferences. And then, truly, I like to save this piece for last, because no one wants to talk about money right away. You know what I mean?
Like,
that's like their biggest stressor, right?
Yeah.
Let's get them excited and then handle the serious shit. So truly, lifestyle, this too, this, and then right here is where the and I can share this in the Google Drive and change all this around, but this is right here is where the financial lender conversation will be. And then so once you, okay, let's just do a hypothetical situation. Let's say that their lease ends in 2 months. We got to get them pre-approved, or they own a home. It's an ASAP thing, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be right there with them, and you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna do a group chat with me, you, and my lender. He's gonna forward you over the application. And I know for a fact, because he takes care of all my clients, the minute you fill out the application, we'll have something back within 24 to 48 hours.
Do you usually make a group chat with the lender and the buyer? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that you're involved, and that, if there's any questions. Not only that, they don't know the lender, right? They only know you, they only trust you. So with you being involved in that transaction, and then eventually you'll get to the point where the buyer will text the lender, hey, did I send this document right? But for that first initial meeting, because if the lender's not there, you're going to want to do a group chat and introducing them. And lenders love that, because that's a referral to them, and they're not going to neglect that.
Yeah.
Now, I used to do it where I would send emails. People engage more with texts than emails.
Very true.
So what I always do, though, is a follow-up email of maybe if they're not ready, I won't do the group chat, but then I'll send an email of 3. Never send just 1. I always do 3. Contractors, lenders, all that. Always send 3 recommendations. So let's just say they've got 6 months before they can get pre-approved. Email them 3 recommendations of loan officers that they can apply with. I would say 6 months plus. But if it's a now thing, group chat, group text. All right, so we got that covered. And then no matter what the timeline is, number 5, what I'm doing is I'm grabbing my laptop, and based on the questions that we asked, which is, location, size of house, the physical things of, of the property. I'm pulling up my laptop, and I'm either gonna share it on my iPad, like we did that one buyer girl. I've referred 3 of my buyers out of state, and I sold their houses, and I didn't have to do anything, but I just referred them. They trusted me so much, they came back to me. So a CRM, which is gonna be number 7. is the biggest thing. Because this is what your foundation of business is on, is your database.
Take a picture as well.
Yeah, the handwriting kind of got.
Nah, it looks fine.